Brit Chadasha, reading for Parsha Mishpatim. Judgments, Matthew chapter 17, verse 22 to 27. Apostle Matthew. This week's Brit Chadasha reading comes from the Gospel of Mathew. The portion of reading is from Matthew chapter 17, verse 22 to 27. The reading begins with the verse, "When they gathered together in Galilee, Yeshua told them, 'The Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of men.'" Matthew chapter 17, verse 22. Apostle Matthew, also known as Saint Mathew and Levi, was one of the 12 disciples of Yeshua HaMashiah. He is traditionally regarded as the author of the Gospel of Mathew. Matthew was working as a tax collector or publican. He was sitting by the customs house in Capernaum, Israel, on the Sea of Galilee at a tax booth when Yeshua called him to follow him. Yeshua simply said, "Follow me." Matthew immediately followed him and became a disciple. Tax collectors were agents of the Roman Empire and collected taxes to return to the government. Because he was a tax collector, many other Jews and Christians did not trust him because of the persecution the Roman Empire had inflicted on the religious groups. Tax collectors had very little accountability. When tax collectors came to be baptized by John the Baptist, they said, "Teacher, what shall we do?" And he told them, "Collect no more than you are authorized to do." Luke chapter 3, verse 12 to 13. After his call to follow Yeshua, Levi gave a dinner in his house, and scribes, the Pharisees, criticized Yeshua on seeing him eat with tax collectors and sinners, but Yeshua replied, "I came not to call the righteous but sinners." Mark chapter 2, verse 15 to 17. Matthew is mentioned in all three Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. He is listed among the disciples in the book of Acts. Matthew was there throughout almost all of Yeshua's ministry. It is hard to say how Matthew died. The earliest records say he carried out his ministry in Ethiopia, Persia, Macedonia, and or Syria. Not what we know as Ethiopia, but a region south of the Caspian Sea. Clement of Alexandra quotes Heracleon, earliest commentators on the New Testament, that Matthew died naturally. They gathered together. When they gathered together in Galilee, Yeshua told them, "The Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of man." Matthew chapter 17, verse 22. Galilee is a region in the northern Israel. Both Jews and Gentiles lived in the area. It is in Galilee that Yeshua called his disciples. Yeshua ministered in this region and performed many miracles. Yeshua gathered his disciples to share about his betrayal and crucifixion and to prepare them for what was coming. Yeshua ministered in this region and performed many miracles. Often Yeshua used the title Son of Man for himself. In Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and 14, there is a description of a messianic figure of authority and dominion. Yeshua is connecting his mission to this prophecy, which was given by Daniel. This title, Son of Man, expresses his authority and reveals his divine mission. Daniel chapter 7, verse 13 and 14 states, "In my vision at night I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence. He was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All nations and peoples of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed." Yeshua, using the title Son of Man, reveals his divine mission to deliver mankind. He said Son of Man is about to be delivered. Yeshua was referring to his betrayal and immense suffering he was going to endure for the salvation of mankind. Yeshua came to this earth fulfilling many prophecies and prophets like Isaiah and many others foretold about his ministry. Isaiah chapter 53 identified Yeshua as a suffering servant. Yeshua said that he will be delivered into the hands of men. This indicates how people will be involved in Yeshua's suffering. Betrayal by one of his own disciples, Judas, involvement of Roman authorities and religious leaders, the Sanhedrin, the forces of darkness that will inflict suffering to Yeshua for a temporary period. But we need to understand that these events were divinely orchestrated for the salvation of mankind. He will be raised to life. They will kill him, and on the third day he will be raised to life. And the disciples were deeply grieved. Matthew chapter 17, verse 23. When the disciples heard that he will be killed, they were greatly grieved. Jewish religious authorities and Roman authorities were involved in Yeshua's betrayal, suffering, and crucifixion. This agrees with what was prophesied in Isaiah chapter 53, verse 7 to 9. Yeshua's betrayal, suffering, and death on the cross was a fulfillment of divine prophecy. Yeshua said, on the third day he will be raised to life. This prophecy is vital to Christian and Messianic faith. At that moment, disciples were unable to understand what he meant. Even though they have witnessed the resurrection of Lazarus, disciples were unable to grasp what Yeshua was revealing to them. Yeshua said, on the third day he will be raised to life. This statement is important as it speaks of a typology. Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days. Jonah chapter 1 verse 17 and Hosea chapter 6 verse 2. Yeshua said in Matthew chapter 16:4, no sign will be given other than the sign of Jonah. The collectors of the 2 drachma. After they had arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma tax came to Peter and asked, does your teacher pay the 2 drachmas? Matthew chapter 17 verse 24. Yeshua and his disciples arrived at the Capernaum, which has been a central location in Yeshua's ministry. It was a fishing village and a center for trading. Collectors of 2 drachma tax came to Apostle Peter. This tax was also known as the temple tax. This is in line with the tax payable according to Mosaic law. As given in Exodus chapter 30 verse 13, tax collected was used to service the tabernacle. The temple was central to Jewish worship and Jews continued to comply with the law. The tax collectors approached Apostle Peter. He was the spokesperson as well as the leader among the disciples. Yeshua was known as a rabbi, a teacher. It could be that out of respect and recognition, the tax collectors did not approach him direct. Religious teachers too had to abide by the law that Moses gave. Here too it can be seen that Yeshua was recognized as a teacher. This question was to ascertain whether Yeshua is still complying with the law. Customs and taxes. Yes, he answered. When Peter entered the house, Jesus preempted him. What do you think, Simon? He asked. From whom do the kings of the earth collect customs and taxes? From their own sons or from others? Matthew chapter 17 verse 25. Disciple Peter said yes, to indicate to the tax collectors that Yeshua pays the temple tax. The tax was compulsory for Jewish males and it is in line with Exodus chapter 30 verse 13 to 16. Peter entered the house and before he spoke, Yeshua preempted him. This demonstrated his omniscience and his divine nature. In John chapter 2 verse 24 to 25 it states, but Jesus would not entrust himself to them, for he knew all people. He did not need any testimony about mankind, for he knew what was in each person. Peter was also known as Simon. Yeshua questions him this way to reveal to him a divine truth. Yeshua was addressing a common practice of kings to illustrate a spiritual truth. In those days, taxes were not applicable to kings' family members. Tax was collected from those outside the family. Yeshua pointed out that worldly kings know to make a distinction between the family member and the outsiders. Yeshua used this example to demonstrate his own relationship with his Father and the Son, who is exempt from fulfilling such requirement. In Galatians chapter 4 verse 7, it states, "So you are no longer a slave, but God's child, and since you are his child, God has made you also an heir." This reveals that believers are children of God, and God has made believers heirs and spiritually free. Sons are exempt. From others, Peter answered, "Then the sons are exempt," Jesus declared. Matthew chapter 17, verse 26. Disciple Peter replied, "From others." This indicates Peter's understanding of the practices concerning tax. In Matthew chapter 17, Yeshua is discussing about the temple tax, which is a tax collected from Jewish males for the maintenance of the temple. This sentence speaks of the biblical theme of separation between God's people and the world. In Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 to 6, "Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and holy nation." These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites. Yeshua saying the sons are exempt illustrate a spiritual truth. A king imposes taxes on its subjects. Some taxes will not be applied to his own children and household. Yeshua demonstrated that he, being the Son of God, is exempt from the temple tax, and his followers, who are made children of God through Yeshua, is also exempt from tax. Followers of Yeshua HaMashiah are made children of God through him, as stated in John chapter 1 verse 12, Romans chapter 8 verse 16 and 17. Apostle Paul says in Galatians chapter 4 verse 4 to 7, "Because you are his sons, God sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, the Spirit who called out, 'Abba, Father.'" The 2 drachma coin. "But so that we may not offend them, go to the sea, cast a hook, and take the first fish you catch. When you open its mouth, you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." Matthew chapter 17, verse 27. As the Son of God, Yeshua was exempt from the temple tax, but Yeshua complied with the existing practice to pay the tax, because not paying the tax would cause unwanted trouble and it would cause others to stumble. Yeshua instructed Peter to go to the sea, which is the Sea of Galilee, and cast a hook. Sea of Galilee was a hub for fishing. Disciple Peter himself was a fisherman and was familiar with that occupation. Here the instruction was to cast a hook, not a net. The purpose of casting out a net is to catch large amounts of fish. But here instruction Yeshua gave was specific. Peter was to take the first fish, and he was asked to open the mouth of the fish to find 4 drachma coin, which would be sufficient to pay both Yeshua's and Peter's taxes. This is another miracle performed by Yeshua, demonstrating his authority over the creation, and the creation is subjected to his command, like the miracle in the sea. Matthew chapter 8 verse 23 to 27, Matthew chapter 14 verse 13 to 21. This miracle also indicates that God is the provider and will meet with all our needs. God's provision can come in very many ways, in the way that man will not expect, like the provision of manna in Exodus chapter 16. Yeshua made the provision not only for him, but also covered Peter's debt. This signified Yeshua's solidarity with his disciples. Even though he is the Son of God, he fulfilled what the requirement of the law. Yeshua is in sacrificial death. Yeshua in his sacrificial death paid the debt of our sins, as stated in Isaiah chapter 53 verse 5 to 8. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shears in silence. So he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. Yet who of his generation protested? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was punished. Tax could have been paid through many ways. This miracle demonstrates Yeshua's authority over creation, his divine mission, provision at the right time, Peter's obedience, Yeshua's solidarity with his disciples. Also that Yeshua will pay the debt of our sins, Isaiah chapter 53. Please share this video and spread the good news of salvation. Remember to like it and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.